Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm CJ Gavin, the Council Program Director. If you were at our meeting on Saturday, a lot of this will be a repeat of that. Not too many things have changed since Saturday, but we will go through it and try to remember if we say something that's new. I know we did some talking about trying to get the meals out on Saturday, and we think maybe we have a different answer on that just connected to our program. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. All right, as usual, we start with our camp leadership. Riley is our camp director, our reservation director for the summer. Nick Bidet is our program director. Jerome Watson will be our Aquila program director. He is currently updating the information for our Cub Scout leader guide. We will have that posted by the end of the week if there's people who are looking for that information. Cub Scout resident camp is open for registrations. We are going to have 2 sessions a week like we always have in the past. We had flirted with changing it a little bit and decided that that's the best way to go. So that'll be the information that's going to be coming out. I want to take just a second. We talked about this Saturday, but to talk about the pieces that we are doing related to our health for this summer. It's called the Swiss cheese model, and this came from the National Office of the Boy Scouts. It's been used in a number of different things, but this is kind of what we're trying to do. Everything that happens with the vaccines, with face covers, etc., is all part of the system to try to keep the virus and the COVID from affecting us. Everything that you do is a part of it, and like Swiss cheese piled up together, if you do all of the things, maybe the holes won't line up and maybe we can keep everyone healthy. So on the far left side of the screen, you have vaccinations, behavioral quarantine, dedicated cohorts, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to go through some of these and talk about how they will affect us at camp. The easiest one is the far right, to have a mask and face covering. We'll be cleaning, keeping physical distance. Prior to coming to camp, we're asking you not to stop if that's possible. We're asking you, if possible, to try not to do carpooling. And if you can get your vaccination before camp, that would be wonderful. The CDC has just recently come out with a directive saying that Boy Scout staff people should be eligible to receive vaccinations on a higher priority. Part of that includes adult leaders. They are considered part of the staff as far as coming to camp and when you can get your vaccine. Now, in the state of Ohio, with the change to everyone 16 and up being able to get the vaccine, it shouldn't be too much of a concern here. It might be a concern in other locations, but hopefully by the time summer camp comes around, everyone 16 and up will have had the opportunity to get a vaccine and take care of that. The only other thing in here that might be a question to you is behavioral quarantine. And basically all we're talking about there is prior to arrival to camp, and the time period keeps changing. It's at 10 now, 10 days prior to arriving to camp. You should not go someplace where you can potentially get COVID. So don't go visit the COVID ward at the hospital 10 days prior to camp if you can avoid that. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. One of our things that we talked about also Saturday was, how do we make these decisions? They don't just come out of the air. This is the COVID-19 decision process. First, is it legal? Or do we have the permits? Do we have the permission of the county, of the state, of whatever municipality to put on the program? Are we following the capacity regulations or restrictions? Number 2, is it safe? With the non-pharmaceutical interventions, that means the masks and cleaning and the way that we keep people separated and the way that we sleep in tents, etc. And is it practical? Do we have the resources financially and staff-wise to make everything happen so it is safe? We think all of those things are in place at the moment, the local Boy Scout Council, Buckeye Council, we've added to this in our own mind. And the question is, are we making a worthwhile memory? If we had to do something for camp this summer, or had to do something for an event that's going on from now till whenever, if it wasn't going to make the right memory for our participants, for our adults, for our youth, we would have to really consider whether or not we were going to be doing it. So we think we can do all of this on the screen and make a good memory and a good result for everyone who's coming to camp this summer. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Riley right now and let her talk about a majority of the things going on here. Riley?
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to talk real quick about our cohort groups. So basically a cohort group is a group of 10 or as close as possible. So I know in the past couple of meetings, we've had conversations about what is a cohort and if we have one over or one under that number 10. So for example, 9 scouts and 2 leaders or whatever it may be. So as close as possible. And that group will tent, eat, and travel together in camp-wide activities, known, and we will call that the camp patrol. With that being said, we do have some things to go over beforehand before coming to camp. So obviously the behavior-based quarantine, 10-day health checks. This is behavior-based quarantine is just quarantining before coming to camp and just ensuring that you aren't sick before coming to camp and then spreading it amongst everyone at camp. Again, we've been over this before, carpooling is not recommended. So don't be stopping at McDonald's in Minerva, as CJ has put on this slide. They're gonna lose some business here. And then obviously all health concerns were down in 2020 due to the us implementing this plan and wearing masks and doing the cohorted groups. So with
that information about all the health concerns being down, that is nationwide in the Boy Scouts of America. There wasn't any norovirus anywhere in a camp last summer. There wasn't any quarantine situation in a camp. And again, that was because every camp in the country were following the plan, using the masks and all that kind of stuff.
With all this being said, again, with the cohorted groups, we are planning to do merit badges relatively normal with COVID protection. So that means masks and social distancing guidelines, whatever those may be at the time. Obviously, things will be changing from now till then. And then the same thing with Pipestone. So those will be, it will be with COVID restrictions. And we are working on a plan for that currently. So this is just a list of changes also that will be occurring in camp this year. So obviously masks, those will be mandated in camp, as well as social distancing and those guidelines. Again, those are subject to change, but as of right now, it's mandated. The dining hall food services, I'll go over that a little bit more in a little bit, and CJ will probably help me out with that, just about what our plan is with dining hall and getting food to everyone, because we want to make sure everybody eats. Again, patrols or cohorts in camp to all camp-wide activities. Camp-wide activities is defined as campfire or going to Thunderbird Hill, whatever it may be. Trading post, we're still working out a schedule to get materials out to those who order things from the trading post or want things from the trading post. We're still not sure what exactly that will look like, but we will get those out and get those plans out as soon as possible. Medical concerns in the camp. So obviously in years prior, a small medical issue is normally not the biggest deal. If a scout doesn't feel well, usually it's not reported to the EMTs right away, and if it's not a big deal. That's not the case this year, just because there's so many medical issues. Obviously, many kids have not been to summer camp in a year. So there will be more medical issues, and those do need to be reported to our health officers and EMT staff right away, because we just don't want anything terrible to happen, and we really don't want to get shut down either with COVID. So please, 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 remember that and report those right away while in camp. As of right now, we're planning on not having any visitors in camp. I know on Saturday we had a couple questions about adults that would come throughout the week, say coming on Wednesday and staying till Saturday or whatever it may be. Those will be allowed, but one day or just an evening visitor, that will be prohibited. And obviously, if you've been to Good Turn, one of the first Good Turn weekends, you know that we will be doing temperature checks, and those will be daily temperature checks. And as always, your supervision and your supervision over your own scouts is very helpful to all of us, and making sure that we all stay safe and that we have a successful summer.
Going back to the daily temperature checks and the medical concerns in camp, we all know there's been situations where you just know one of your guys, one of your scouts has been running around all day, and all he needs to do is drink some water and lay down. And I'm sure everyone's been in a situation where they've said, okay, just go lay down in your tent. We're not going to walk down to admin and bother everyone. We're going to ask you to walk down to admin and let us know if there's a concern of any kind this summer, just so we can be ahead of the game and try not to have a problem. Do I have this one, Riley?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just the normal stuff on our payments. All payments can be made online. We'd like you to be paid in full prior to camp. As far as refunds are concerned, if a scout wants a refund, if their parents say, hey, they're not going, we just don't feel comfortable with this, and we're going to have to depend on the scoutmasters to try to make this as clear as possible that we're doing everything we can to keep them safe. But if they want a refund, they have to complete a refund form. I know they're kind of a pain, but it's a requirement for our accounting. Otherwise, I walk around camp with money in my pocket and just hand it to you. I'm that kind of guy, but the accounting people want to have some kind of record of what we're doing. So they have to have a refund form. We're working on the early bird gift. We have a patch design. It'll be a special patch that only those who paid for the early bird time period and the amount due will receive. Our online trading post is being updated, and we'll send out more information about that as we get to it. And registration is hugely important. Again, it has to be completed online. We want and need an email for contact tracing. That's a thing that the county has been after us for years, and this year it's more important than ever. I don't care. Someone said, hey, our committee won't let you use the use email. I don't care whose email it is. I need to be able to hand it to the county to say, Mrs. Johnson, your son was in camp and their cohort had someone who came down with COVID or was next to a group that came down with COVID. We just have to be able to contact everyone and let them know what the situation is as completely as possible. We're going to have to reduce the driving in camp is one of the directives from National Risk Management. Unfortunately, we're not going to have golf carts for rent this summer, and we are going to strictly reduce the amount that staff has access to golf carts. Believe it or not, golf carts are one of the largest areas where people get hurt in camp. It's like in the top 3, and it costs the Boy Scouts of America a lot of money, not to mention the people's lives that are impacted by accidents with golf carts. If you've driven a golf cart and you feel competent and don't understand that, Well, I don't necessarily either, but it is a huge directive from national. If you have a reason to have a golf cart in camp, we are still working on a policy guideline that you would have to fill out and tell us, here's the reason I need a golf cart, and here is my knowledge of riding on a golf cart. We're still vetting that with our lawyers to figure out how to do it. We're not saying you can't bring a golf cart to camp if you need one, but we're having to figure out how we're going to make that permission available. As far as the food is concerned, we will continue to do everything we can for youth with special needs as far as food. If they're allergic to something, there is a guide in uh, the leader's guide. There's a place to let us know about that, and you can get that form and send it in to us. Everyone knows that our cook has been very positive and very helpful to make that happen. So we will take care of you this summer on this. Right now, we are trying to figure out, and we think rather than delivering food, that part of the flag ceremonies in the morning, the flag ceremony in the evening, and then assigning someone at lunchtime, we will have you come to the dining hall and pick up your cohort's food. That way we don't have to have cars running all over camp delivering food, and everyone will get it at the same time, basically. So the food isn't sitting in the back of a car that we're driving to the mountain, and you're the last campsite up there, so you don't get it. We're talking about, and again, all of this is just in the formation at the moment, asking you to bring a red and blue cooler, red to put hot stuff in, blue to put cold stuff in, and a wagon or a cart or something that'll make it easier for your guys to do it. Nick is trying to figure out how we're going to do the flag ceremonies and keep the social distance. And the latest answer we're looking at is having 2 people from each unit come down for breakfast, for flag in the morning, flag in the evening, and take the meals after that. So more as we figure out exactly how we're going to do it. On Scouts BSA, we're still working on the showers. We'll probably end up with 2 portable showers in camp is the direction that we're going now. And I mentioned that there just because those showers will probably be directed at our female adults, female youth population to use. And then as far as youth protection and guide to safe scouting with females in camp, I get this question a lot. Can our troop camp with our female group? And the answer is yes, you can be in the same campsite with the cohort divisions, and we'll have to figure that out. But if you bring 4 girls and 4 boys and 2 adults, the biggest thing is you have to have a female adult over 21 with that group. That's a national requirement, whether dad's there or not. That has to be the way it is. So just keep that in mind as you're registering your female troops for camp.
All right, so as many of you guys know, the check-in process can be a little hectic, and it's going to be even more so this year because we're going to try to distance people and keep you guys in your cohorts. So make sure you guys come prepared with money, trading post orders, the checkoff sheet, obviously, the medical sheets, and knowing where your campsite is, as well as swim checks. So what's going to happen with this is we probably will have designated times for campsite check-in. It has been like that in the past, but we're going to enforce that a little bit more this year, just because we do want to distance everyone. So you will have a specific check-in time for your campsite, and then also for swim check, just so we don't overwhelm our aquatic staff and make sure that we are also keeping distance between each other and the other groups and whatnot. We will let 1 vehicle from each unit into camp after 1, and make sure you're, again, on time for check-in, and so that way you do not take anyone else's spot. And again, there will be assigned times for swim check.
We may end up with a situation, just to make you aware of it, that your swim check might happen before you go to the campsite. It just depends on how things break out and the best way that we can get everyone in. So everyone will need to be a little bit flexible about that. One other thing I wanted to mention related to the campsites, it has been the policy and continues to be the policy that if we need to move you to make best use of the campsites, that we can do that. In the 10 years that I've been here, I've had to do it one time. And the biggest reason that we would have to do that is because of the way we're going to break out the cohorts. We hope not to have to do that with anyone, but if I've got a cohort or 5 different cohorts in Buzzard's Beak, they're not going to fit. I'm going to have to move them. If I've got half a cohort in Hutch's Grove, that's not going to work, because unless I've got plenty of room in the rest of the camp, but that's just a waste of the campsite. So we will do our best not to move you, but please be flexible with that. We want to get everyone into camp that we can, and we want to continue to be safe. So that's a possibility as we go through the summer.
All right. As far as Pipestone goes, we are working on a way to successfully and safely put on the Camp Honors program. Obviously, everything is subject to change, and as of right now, everything's looking pretty positive. As far as youth protection training and CPR training goes, those will again be held Wednesday. Did I get that right, CJ?
Yes, ma'am.
Sweet. Wednesday. We're working out a way to do that and make sure that obviously that is all socially distanced and follows all the guidelines. And as far as drone rules go, absolutely no drones.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn to take over. So if any of you haven't been here for the past couple months for this Scoutmasters meeting, our theme this year is going to be Pirates of the Seven Ranges. And our entire goal is going to be using teamwork and being trustworthy with one another in order to achieve our goals. And right now, our goal is getting through the week without having any COVID problems. So if you go onto the Buckeye Council website, we just updated our program guidebook. So if there's any questions that you need answered, the guidebook is definitely definitely the first place anyone should look for any maybe loose questions and anything. And then if you look to the left of the screen, that little kind of piece of artwork put together there is going to be part of the camp t-shirts this year. So now we're going to go into kind of the merit badges that we're going to be offering. A lot of them haven't really changed. So it's probably going to be just the same old stuff that we were doing in 2019 and before then. But the first program area is STEM, and the merit badges that they're offering at STEM includes chemistry, electronics, engineering, programming, radio, robotics, and space exploration. And then there also will be the 7R liftoff program, which we also did in 2019. Next up is Waterfront, and here they're offering swimming, life-saving, canoeing, kayaking, rowing, and small boat sailing. COPE, we offer a couple different programs, including Twilight COPE on Mondays. Usually we would have the climbing tower available and potentially climbing merit badge, but that is if we can find a COPE director. If you know anybody who might be interested in being COPE director, please send them our way. because we are still looking for one.
And I have to, you didn't remind me, I'm supposed to say, Jeff is fine, he's going back to school. Because I had a bunch of people ask me at the end of the meeting, why isn't Jeff coming back? He makes a big difference again. He's fine, going back to school.
All right, so next up is Ecology and Conservation. The merit badges here are astronomy, bird study, environmental science, forestry, geology, mammal study, nature, reptile and amphibian study, soil and water conservation. And then during open program, they have the nature walks, and they will also be offering the John Burroughs Award. At field sports, they have archery, fish and wildlife management, fishing, rifle shooting, and shotgun shooting. At handicraft, we have art, basketry, fingerprinting, Indian lore, leatherwork, sculpture, theater, and wood carving. Outdoor skills, we got camping, emergency prep, fire safety, first aid, geocaching, orienteering, pioneering, search and rescue, and wilderness survival. And then getting to the Buccaneer program throughout the week, this will be all morning and the afternoon merit badge session, and the scouts will be able to complete oceanography, exploration, small boat sailing, and orienteering. And when they complete all four, they'll get a patch at the end of the week. And merit badge registration will begin April 17th with the registration of week 1, and it will go week by week for registrations.
That worked out really well for us in 2019. You're not competing with the bandwidth and the web space against everybody else in the council and coming to camp. We're doing it week by week, and then you're only competing with your week's other people that will be at camp. So it worked really well, and we didn't have any glitches that I was aware of when we did it. So we'll be doing the same thing again this summer. The guys will be doing interviews on Sunday. Thank you for passing that on and letting people know about it. Thank you for being here tonight. We still need more people to work at camp. We realize this is kind of a strange year, and maybe parents are concerned about that. The biggest thing that it affects is the amount of merit badges that we can provide. People always tell me we need more people at camp, and I will tell you that we hardly ever turn anyone away. If you have a heartbeat and a love for scouting, we'll probably find a place for you on the camp staff. We just don't have a lot of choices. McDonald's and staying home to see your girlfriend is a big pull for a lot of people, and putting all the effort for 7 weeks plus a staff week plus a closing down week, that's a big commitment for the summer. We got to find people to do it so we can make all the merit badges happen. If you know anyone who's interested, please have them get hold of us or get an application in. All right. Sarah, are there questions on there that didn't get answered? I think you were trying to answer them on the chat.
Yeah, there are a few. Can you talk about provisional camping? Are we opening registration for provisional camping? Same with SPL to B.
Good point. I'm sorry. We are not going to do that as of now. If things change through the summer, maybe we'll end up with a provisional week or two, who knows. But as of right now, we're not going to do that. And on Saturday, I was telling the guys, one of the things that the health department said was, well, you know what would be a really good thing for you to do? Make sure everybody who's in camp during X week is from the same place. So I started thinking about that and going, well, we'll have Rooster Week and we'll have Canton Week and then we'll have alliance. That's not going to work. So our way to get them to deal with us was saying we wouldn't do provisional programs at this point.
And is that the same for SPL to be?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. There was a little
but
bit
let
of
me say, we said this Saturday, when we get back to the normal world, please take advantage of SPL to be. It's a free week of camp. The point is to have your SPL come down, hopefully a week early, do their merit badges, and then be the SPL and really make the program run the way it's supposed to with youth leadership. Free week of camp, and just keep that in mind when we get back to the normal world. Sorry, Sarah.
Oh, no, you're good. There was a little bit of confusion, but I think Nick cleared it up. So the cohort group, the same group of 10 does not necessarily have to be that same group of 10 going to the same merit badges, correct?
Correct. The cohort group is going to be in campsites and camp-wide activities, not the merit badges. The merit badges we're going to cover like we would in the schools. They're telling us that being outdoors and keeping the physical distance should be everything that we need to keep our guys safe. So we're going to do that with the merit badges, and we're just going to do the cohort stuff with the meals, with the camp-wide events.
Okie dokie. Hopefully that answers that for everyone. There was a question about, and I apologize, I wasn't entirely paying attention during this part, about the daily temperature checks. Is that being done by staff, or is that by unit leaders, like in the campsite?
It'll be done by unit leaders, and we're going to come up with a report that we ask them to bring us at some point during the day. And if there isn't anyone that has a problem, we'll just collect them in your with your first aid logs and all that stuff at the end of the week.
Okay. Another question is, how are the showers going to work? Not necessarily like showers for females or anything like that, just like showering in general.
We'll be following what we have normally done. The gang showers are available, but we also have individual showers in different locations. We'll follow whatever the schedule has been in the past, and I apologize off the top of my head, I don't know what that was, but I think it was, don't quote me on this, that the adults had the evenings. Riley's shaking her head yes, so we'll be following that schedule.
I think it was after 9. After 9 o'clock.
Somebody asked about the size of the coolers that they need to bring. It's nothing too crazy, right? Just like a standard size red and blue cooler.
Yeah,
okay.
If I come up with measurements, I'll let you know. But right now, that's just kind of someone said that on a national meeting. We're asking them to bring red and blue coolers. I said, that's a cool idea. We're going to do that too. I'm not sure what we're doing with them, but yeah, cool idea.
Okay. Do units need to bring their own thermometers for temperature checks, or will they be provided by camp?
They're more than welcome to do that, and that'd be helpful, but we're planning on buying some also.
So Jason Carroll asked, I'll just read the whole statement out loud, but he works in the healthcare industry and has direct contact with COVID, and he has been vaccinated on the first round. So is he able to attend camp? And there's no way that he can quarantine for 10 days prior just because of his field.
Sarah, can he hear me if I say there's no way I want him to come to camp? Can he hear me? Can he
yeah,
say?
He can.
Oh, he can?
He can hear you.
No, he's more than welcome. I'd be glad to have him. We understand that, and we just have to deal with it. We'll be fine.
Okie dokie.
Thanks for letting me know that, Jason.
Is the one red and one blue cooler per cohort group or per troop?
I think we're gonna have to do it per cohort group.
Yeah, I think you just bring an abundance of coolers.
Yeah.
Somebody
And I haven't
asked,
asked Malia about that. She might look at me and say, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Here's how we're gonna serve the food. So, you know, if you see me carrying coolers around all summer and looking downtrodden, that's because Malia said it was a dumb idea.
somebody asked about just in general, like scouts are intermingling with kids at school. They're like they play sports, and like won't they intermingle during things like merit badges or showering with kids from other troops? Do you want to answer that, CJ, or do you want me to?
The answer is yes, they will. So we are writing up our COVID response and dealing with the county as best we can. I mean, what we tell people is we become the third largest city in Carroll County during the summer, and they just as soon we not cause them a problem. So we're coming up with the best thing we can, and you're absolutely right. Every time we talk about this, poor Jesse goes, I take my daughter to dance class, they walk in with the mask on, and that's the end of it. So yes, we understand all of that.
Right. And, you know, we have to follow guidelines from both the county, the state, and the Boy Scouts of America. So, you know,
Yes.
if one group says, yeah, it doesn't matter what you do, well, we still have to follow the guidelines from like our local entities as well. So it's not as simple as just saying, yep, we're running camp. There's a lot of back end stuff that has to go into it.
I had a whole slide of my joke of how many people I have to report to and percentages, and 50 of 100,000, you know, the governor's saying, and Riley said, nobody got your joke, so you can't use it anymore. So fine, Riley, fine.
I feel like it made more people mad.
Somebody said that they'd be happy to work as a merit badge counselor for their week of camp. Would that be a possibility? And what is the paperwork that would be needed?
Absolutely. All of you that are registered at camp as an adult fit into a different category than other people. If you are registered as a merit badge counselor and willing to teach a merit badge, we would love to have that. Right now, we've got somebody who's willing to do fly fishing during the 5th week, so we'll be setting that up. But if you just drop Riley or Nick or myself an email, let us know, we can add it to the list so people are aware of it, that you'd like to teach a merit badge, and that would be great. That brings up the point about, I'm not did we hit no visitors? Was that in there somewhere?
No,
Okay.
It wasn't in there, but if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, one of the things that we're going to do is not have family night. We're trying to figure out how we're going to deal with the food and the change, and that may come in a survey where we ask you to. The problem with camping, with cooking in a campsite, is cleaning up and making sure that the protocols are followed, so we're not sharing germs. We're trying to figure out how we're going to do that, but we're not going to have family night. So please let your people know. Anyone that's going to be coming into camp is going to have to, in one way or another, either be registered or be a member of our camp staff, and we're working on how to do that related to things like the Burroughs Award, the Order of the Arrow callouts, that type of thing. So more information about that to come.
There is another question here. I lost it. Oh, Brian asked if people choose to be a part of camp staff, are they there through, essentially, are they allowed to come home on the weekends like they have in the past, or because of COVID, we don't know yet?
We seriously considered locking them down. I am going to ask everyone who is on permanent camp staff to sign a paper to say, when you go home this weekend, you're gonna wash clothes, say hi to your mom, and go to sleep, because we don't want you out in the crowds, potentially bringing us back a problem. So yes, our plan right now is to let people go home on the weekends, just to relax for that 24 hours. But we did early on consider making that a situation where you're there for the summer. Good question.
Somebody asked about 1 scout per tent.
No, right now the plan is 2 scouts per tent, but we would like them to sleep head to foot. That's what the health regulations have asked us to do, to keep the distance between. I realize that, you know, 2 11-year-olds, the distance between them is going to be shorter, but maybe they get scooped to opposite ends of the cot or something.
Lynette Osler asked, can we do 2 per tent for good turns, or is it still 1 scout per tent, like for good turns because they're bringing their own tents and their smaller tents and that type of stuff?
I'm gonna make that Scoutmaster's call.
Somebody asked about cooking and campsites. Did you say something specific about that, whether or not they're allowed to cook in campsites?
We don't know the answer yet.
Okay. Are we still having waterfront merit badges and activities? I think so.
We are, yes. The waterfront will be one of the few places in camp where if you're doing swimming merit badge, you're not going to have a mask on. We will be as careful with that as we can. It really, there's no way you can do that. Whether or not we do the polar bear is still up in the air, and some of the other things that you might normally do at the waterfront, we might have to break out by cohorts and do something like that, but we're working on it.
Just to clarify, for good turn weekends, the camp tents are not set up, right? They need to bring their own tents for good turn weekends.
Correct.
And then somebody asked, are they allowed to bring their own tents for just summer camp in general?
Yes, we're going to be asking people to do that probably. Again, we're not sure how we're going to make the lines for the cohort, whether we're going to run a police line tape through the middle of the campsite or a orange spray on the grass between the tents. So yes, bringing your own tents would be helpful to allow us to break out those cohorts. We don't want to move tents around. That's like number one way to destroy a tent. Number 2 is leaving it up for 7 weeks in the summer, but you know, we've got to do what we've got to do. So you're more than welcome to bring a tent.
Are camp-wide activities like the Sunday night campfire and Thunderbird Hill still happening?
We're trying to figure out how to do that, but yes.
Somebody asked, and I think this is probably the same, but things like the mile swim and Hutch's run.
Nick, shake your head. Are we doing Hutch's run? I don't think we are we?
No, we won't be doing Hutch's run. The plan right now is to be doing a scavenger hunt. Obviously, that's dependent on COVID and everything. But yeah, so we're going to try to get everybody around camp to see some different, not perspectives, but different areas that they might not have been before.
Cool.
Eric Bear asks that they normally bring their troop trailer plus a second trailer with the gear. Are they able to take both of them to the campsite?
That would be 2, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 2 trailers.
Yeah, we're fine. That'll be fine. Unless they're in Buzzard's Beak.
Hopefully you guys aren't in Buzzard's Beak. Are we going to have camp commissioners for site inspections?
Yes, and we'll be looking for volunteers for that as well.
Can troops bring a large carport tent to serve as a second pavilion for a second cohort group?
Yes,
What's going on?
unless you're in Buzzards Beak. Buzzards Beak just seems crowded to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it's bigger than I think, but we will get through this. It'll be fun. The guys and gals will work on some merit badges and enjoy their week at camp. Recruiting camp staff is slow. We really need your help with that. But otherwise, everything, it's slowly but surely becoming better. I think about 5 weeks ago, poor Nick's head was going to explode because every other day I tell him, you can't do something. And it's getting better and better as we go along. So.
Question, is Frog still happening?
Yeah, we should have put that on there. It is our plan.
Thank you.
Yep.
Somebody said that they typically bring a mower for their first week of camp. Is that allowed? Like they attend week 1 and they typically bring a mower?
Sure.
I think that means Steve's not doing a good enough job out there.
Normally, you know, we said you can't stop anywhere, but you can stop at my house on your way out on week 1 and mow, because the neighbors think I'm terrible. I'm at camp all summer and my poor wife's out there sweating and mowing. Oh, I see you, Toby. You got to stop at Toby's house too. It's right down the street from me. And as long as you mow those two, you can bring a mower to camp.
Yeah, we're three blocks away. It's just one more stop.
This poor troop will never make it to camp. They'll just be stopping along the route saying,
Probably
please mow my lawn. Okay, I know that we've talked about this, but I don't know if we talked about it specifically, but yes to the mile swim or no to the mile swim?
I think so. Thanks to Riley, thanks to Nick, thanks to Jerome. Thank you to everyone who got on here tonight. Please be safe. If you can get the vaccine, get the vaccine. If we get down to 50 per 100,000 in Ohio, they'll rescind all of the health mandates and we can go forward with a much, much, much more normal summer. So it'd be really cool if we could get there relatively quickly. But again, we will have camp. It will be a good time. We're looking forward to seeing everyone out there. So appreciate it. Thank you, Sarah.
Not a problem. Thank you, everybody, for attending.